Hi. It's been such a long time since I've seen you last. I can't even remember the last time we hung out. It's been months. Well, I'm really glad we are going to the same university now. Gives me a chance to see you a little bit more. So how have your studies been going? Yeah, it's getting to be about that time of year. It's right before spring break. Only a couple weeks left. But that means midterms. Lots of studying. I have an exam week this week. It's not quite midterms, but I do have a lot of exams this week. I have three, in fact. So I need to study. Do you want to help? Okay, well, that'd be great. Um, the two exams I'm studying for today are my calculus exam and my German language exam. Now, my German language exam, it's only German 1, so it's pretty straightforward. It's just vocabulary and some conjugating. So we'll look at a vocabulary list, and maybe you can quiz me on a couple of the verbs. And then for math, my professor gave me this sheet of extra functions that I should just practice. So maybe we will do that. Just go over the sheet together. Sound good? Okay. How about you? Do you have any exams this week? No? You're lucky. I wish. Anyway, so I've got my paper. Just have to do the last two. And I've got my little notebook. Elephants all over it. It's pretty funny. Do you see my hand? I fell on the ice the other day. It's the second time this year already. It's pretty disappointing. Anyway, so the instructions on this page basically just say to find and label all the important features of the graph, and then after that, do all your work and your graphing on a separate page. Don't try and cram it onto one sheet. Those are the rules, so I'm actually going to use this and do one problem per page. Just hand it in like that. Okay. So, I'm on letter E. E says function f of x equals x squared plus x minus 2 over x. So, first thing we're going to do, the easiest thing to do, is to make the numerator into what factors. So let's just factor it first. It factors to x plus 2, x minus 1 over x. Okay. I had to take a sip of water. I just made myself a coffee. Did you want one? No, just gonna take a sip of mine. Okay, no problem. All right, so now that we've got this fully reduced, we can start finding the features of the graph. So the first feature, easiest one to probably find, is the x-intercepts. So what that means is basically taking the numerator, finding the x-intercepts. So we've got x plus 2 as one of the factors. Set that equal to 0. X plus 2 equals 0. Subtract 2 from both sides. And we find that one of the zeros is negative 2, 0. Another factor is x minus 1. Set that equal to 0. X equals 1. And we end up with a second 0 at 1, 0. Yeah, it's pretty easy stuff. I'm sure you knew about it already, but just need to practice. There's always going to be special cases and other things, so practicing now will help me in my exam later. I'm sorry if it's kind of loud here. There's a major intersection right there, and construction just down there. I'm sure you saw it when you were walking here. The sidewalk is closed. Alright, so those are the x-intercepts. Now let's see if there's a y-intercept. Set the whole function to 0. So f of 0 equals 0 squared plus 0x minus 2 over 0, which means that f of 0 is undefined, which would indicate that the graph doesn't cross the y-axis at all. So y-axis not crossed. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is find the vertical asymptote of this graph, which means that you take the denominator, which is just x in this case, and set it equal to 0, and then you would solve. But since it's just x, we end up with x equals 0. Pretty easy. Okay, now we need to see if there's a horizontal asymptote. We do that by checking the degree of the numerator against the degree of the denominator. So remember, if it's higher on the bottom, I better check that rule. But in this case, the degree is higher above than below, which indicates a diagonal. I can't think of the right word that the professor used the other day. Oblique asymptote. There you go. So since 2 is higher than x, you end up with a horizontal asymptote that is oblique, and it's y equals x, basically. So it's going to be like that. Okay, so I think that we've got pretty much everything we need to graph. So I'm going to draw the graph. Nice and big. And I'm going to label the things that we know. We know some x-intercepts. So we've got one at -2, 0. We've got one at +1, 0. We don't have any y-intercepts because we know the vertical asymptote is x equals 0. So you can label that if you want. And then we know we have an oblique asymptote, y equals x. So it crosses the origin from the bottom left sector to the upper right sector. And you can label that. The equation is y equals x. And then all you have to do is draw the graph. We know the behavior of the graph because of the actual function. It's pretty easy to figure out what it's going to be. And we know that it is bound by the vertical and the diagonal right there. So pretty straightforward to draw. It's going to look like this. Now this is just an approximation. You can find the real graph like on a graphing calculator, but that's basically how it looks. But you know what? Why don't we just check it anyway? So I've got my TI-84. Nothing exciting, no special features on this calculator. But let's just graph it anyway, just to make sure I did it right. X squared plus x minus 2 divided by x. And the graph of the function looks like that. You can see that the vertical asymptote was indeed 0, and the oblique was y equals x. You can look at the table if you want to prove to yourself that there's an error at 0, which would indicate the asymptote. But you probably don't need to do that. Can I tell you the part of the exam I'm most excited for is the quiet classroom and everybody just kind of typing away on their calculators, trying to get the right answers. I don't know why I like it. I just do. Something about that tapping is just great. Anyway, we've got another one to do here. Let's just flip the page over. And this time I'm going to use a marker instead. Just switching it up here. Let's see if this coffee is ready to drink. That's pretty good. Anyway, let's do... Someone's crashing out there. Let's do F, because F has a special case. My Prismacolor. I don't need to do any more marker rendering in this life, so I'm using them for math. F of x equals x minus 2 squared times x plus 1 over x minus 2. So right away you can tell that there's a special case in this because there's repeated terms. X minus 2 over x minus 2 is going to cause a 0 to be in the graph, sometimes called a hole in the graph, which basically just means that it's going to follow a shape, and at this specific point there's going to be a 0. Okay, so what we would do is cancel out the hole. What you can do, since you know it's x minus 2, you can solve for x. You get x equals 2, and then you take the function and you set it to 2. So f2 is 2 minus 2 squared, which is 0. 2 plus 1, which is 3, over 0, which is 0. So you know the hole in the graph happens at 2, 0. It's also technically one of the zeros of the graph, but it's actually, because it's repeated, it's 0. So we know that x cannot equal 2, and that 2, 0 is the hole. Okay, so we have to revise our function, and we end up with x minus 2 times x plus 1. The denominator is canceled out, which means that it's just going to be a parabola this time. Really straightforward. So what you can do, you can still find the y-intercepts, and you can find the other zeros. So we should probably just do that. The second x-intercept is x plus 1 equals 0, which ends up being negative 1, 0. And the y-intercept is f of 0 equals 0 minus 2 times 0 plus 1. F of 0 is negative 2, which means that the parabola crosses the vertical at 0, 2. There we go. So with this information, we are ready to draw our graph. Alright, so we've got one at, I'll draw this off to the side, (1, 0). We have a whole, remember, at 2, 0. The notation changes. For the whole, it's an open hole instead of just the dot there. And then we've got a y-intercept of 0, 2. So it's a pretty simple graph. Ends up looking just like that. Great. Okay, so I think I'm pretty ready for my math test. Honestly, I'm really not too concerned about it. Those practice problems went by really fast. Okay, so why don't we just study some German instead? Because I know I'm going to need to study my vocabulary. So I've got my German book here. It's the old Treffpunkt Deutsch book, and I'm gonna need you to not make fun of my pronunciation. Anyway, so my German class is pretty interesting because the instructor was born in Germany and has a PhD in game theory, which I think is really cool. He's retired, but decided to come back and become a German professor, so that's interesting. So he knows a lot of interesting things about German and how the language works, but he doesn't necessarily know all the grammar rules. So it's been interesting, to say the least. But anyway, what I think we should look at together is vocabulary sheet, which I suddenly cannot find. I thought it was page 17 and 18, but I suppose I could be wrong. Maybe it's here's one of the vocabulary sheets, pages 50 to 51, but there's another sheet. Here we go, 22 to 23. So some of the things that he says are important for the exam is knowing the colors, which are really, really quite easy. Blau is blue, brown is brown, gelb is yellow, rosarot, pink, violet is purple. What else am I missing? Grün is green, grau is gray, rot is red, weiß is white, schwarz is black. So that's pretty much all the colors we're possibly going to need to know. We were talking yesterday in class about certain colors in Google Translate not showing up right. I guess some of the other students were Googling colors, and so one Googled purple because I don't know why he didn't check the book. And it told it it was lila, which it is. I mean, that's the word for lilac, which is also purple, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm just gonna read the nouns to you, and I think that might help me. So, der Himmel is sky / heaven. Die Sonne, the sun. Das Wetter, weather. Das Auslandsamt, foreign student office, which I hope to be one day. Das Buch, die Bücher, die Karte, die Karten, die Mensa, die Vorlesungen, beginnen, to begin. So that'd be beginne, beginnst, beginnt, beginnen, and then beginnt again. Gehen, to go. That's gate, gehst. Gehen, geht. Kaufen, to buy. Kaufe, kaufst, kauft. Kaufen, kauft. Kommen, to come. Komme, kommst, kommt. Kommen, kommt. Machen is to do or make. Mach, machet. Mach. Macht, macht's. Regnen, to rain. Scheinen, to shine. Schreiben, to write. Studieren, to study. Auch, dann, ein paar. Fast, gar nicht. Heute Nachmittag. Jetzt, morgen, nicht. Noch nicht. Nö, oft, schon, viel. Windig, selbst. And then he said, it was also important to know some geography and some nationalities, especially of Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, or die Schweiz, Österreich, and die Bundesrepublik Deutschland. Okay, so maybe we should refer to our map. There's a map in the front of the book. And there's a list of countries or cities I need to know. Let me get that out for you, just to make sure. My teacher's so funny. He likes to make word searches out of vocabulary words. Okay. Anyway, let's see here. Sorry, that was kind of loud. Okay. This is helpful. So he actually prints out what's going to be on the test and in the order it's going to appear in. So it's kind of a softball. All right. Number 1, listen to the instructor read a short paragraph regarding the weather and then answer some multiple choice questions. That should be pretty easy. Number 2, days of the week. Know the days of the week and how to spell them. We should go over that. I'm gonna highlight that really quick. Number 2. Okay, number 3, colors. Know the colors from exercise 1 and how to spell them. We just did that. That's pretty straightforward. Number 4, opposites, multiple choice. And then there's a hint here that says, know the opposites from exercise 1 and vocabulary list 1 and 2. So I should review those, because what the book thinks are opposites sometimes aren't opposites. Okay, number 5, choosing appropriate responses to simple questions, multiple choice similar to text exercise 1:15. That should be pretty easy. Number 6, numbers from 0 to 20. Know how to write them out in German. No problem. I got that. Number 7, answering questions with the negative. You will need to write complete sentences, like the responses in text exercise 1:14. So that's just placing kein and nicht in sentences. We should review that. Okay. Number 8, question words. Short conversations where you must fill in some blanks with the appropriate question word. I got that. Pronouns. Short conversations where you must fill in some blanks with the appropriate pronouns. That should be pretty easy too. Number 10, the irregular verb sein, to be. Let's just write it out right now. So that's bin, bist, ist. Sind, seid, and sind again. And then formal sie would also be sind. No problem. We got this. Okay, number 11, conjugating verbs. You must fill in the blanks by choosing the appropriate verb from a list and then conjugating it correctly. So know all of the verbs from list 1 and 2, which I just read them to you a couple minutes ago, plus the verb heißen and trinken, which pretty easy. Think I have that under control. Number 12, read a paragraph written in German and then answer some multiple choice questions. Hint, know which country each of the following cities is in. Berlin, which that's Germany. Bern, Switzerland. Hamburg, Germany. Innsbruck, Germany. Köln, Germany. München, Germany. Salzburg, Austria. Vaduz. Vaduz is... I'm not sure where Vaduz is. Looking at the map here... Oh, I actually made a mistake. Innsbruck is in Austria. Okay, good thing we're checking this. But I think Vaduz is in Austria too. But I suppose I could be wrong. Yeah, it must be. Is it in Switzerland? No, it's in Liechtenstein. There we go. Liechtenstein. Wien, that's in Vienna, or that's Vienna, that's in Austria. And Zurich, which is in Switzerland. So no problem there. Now that I know where Innsbruck is. Extra credit, 7 multiple choice questions in English regarding the various reading assignments in Erste Kontakte and Kapitel 1. Students will also read the reports, text exercises aloud before the test. Let me get that up for you, just so you can make sure it's right. It's really great having someone that actually speaks German study with you. So thanks. We had to submit these in advance, and I got a check on it with no corrections to my dialogue, except I apparently wrote down my wrong age. I wrote down that I was 35. I'm definitely not 35. Okay. Ich heiße Scott und ich bin 25 Jahre alt. Ich studiere Biologie und Kunst. Ich bin polnisch und swedish. Meine Haare sind brown. 4 quick and easy sentences about myself. Yeah, I wrote down that I was 35, which I'm 25. I'm not 35. And the instructor decided to point that out when we were in groups out loud to everybody. And I was like, hey, nope, I was born in 1988. Anyway, so, let's go look at the days of the week really quick, and then I'll let you go, because I know you're busy, and everyone's got to get on with their day. You can't sit here all day and teach me German. That's not fair to you. Okay, die Wochentag, der Montag, M-O-N-T-A-G, Monday, der Dienstag, That's Tuesday. Diensthe. Der Mittwoch, which means midweek, which is Wednesday. Mittwoch. Der Donnerstag, Thursday. Donnerstag, Donnerstag. Der Freitag, Friday. Freitag. Der Samstag, Saturday. Samstag. And der Sonntag, which is Sunday. Sonntag. That's the one that's gonna trip me up because it's Sonn and it's pronounced like Son. So I'm gonna have to remember that one. The good news is that all of the days of the week are masculine. They all start with der, so that should be pretty easy to remember. The months seem pretty easy. The seasons also pretty easy. They're all der too, so that's great. Der Frühling is spring. Der Sommer, summer. Der Herbst, fall. Der Winter. And by the way, I'm ready for der Winter to go away. I'm tired of it. So just some more things. I know we need to look at opposites. Das Gegenteil, according to the book. Okay. Die Frage is question, and the opposite, according to the book, the opposite of question is answer, and that's die Antwort. Okay. Fragen is the opposite of antworten, which means to ask is the opposite of to answer. Again, according to the book, I don't really think it's the opposite. We've got gut and schlecht, which is good and bad. That seems like opposites. Hell and dunkel, light and dark. Hier and dort, here and there. And viel and wenig, much and little. Wenig is always one that I have to remember. Wenig, little. Okay. There's another section of opposites here. We've got bitte and danke, please and thank you. I don't really think those are opposites. Heiß and kalt, hot and cold, no problem. Richtig and falsch, true and right against false and wrong. Pretty straightforward. Are there any other things that I really need to go over with you? Why don't we just read Wohin gehst du? It's just a list of places that we would be going to. In die Bibliothek, in die Disco, in die Kneipe, in die Mensa, in die Vorlesung, ins Bett, ins Kino, ins Konzert, ins Theater, ins Bett, to bed, go to bed. And then there's just a couple additional words here. Besonders, which is particularly. Interessant, interesting. Nicht, nothing. Sehr, very. Sportlich, athletic. Von, beast. From, to. Zusammen, together. Mitbewohner, Mitbewohnerin. Male roommate, female roommate. And another list of verbs right here. Arbeiten, finden, fliegen, glauben, kosten, lernen, reisen, sitzen, spielen, stehen, tanzen, tun. Seems pretty straightforward. I think I'm going to be okay for that exam. It is tomorrow, though, so I'll probably study again on my break between classes tomorrow. I've got a biology lab where we're going to be doing something with DNA. I'm not really sure. And it's pretty straightforward. It's the plant biology lab, so I think I can handle that. And my math exam isn't until later in the week, but it doesn't hurt to brush up on it again. The funny thing is that we've already covered all of the topics we need for the exam, and we're like a few days ahead in class, so we'll probably do some reviewing in class. That's what I would guess. I'm not sure. Sounds like someone's driving their crotch rocket around out there, which is just wonderful. Anyway, so I understand you're busy and you probably need to get back into class. I know I've got to go to chem lab pretty soon, so I should be getting ready to go myself, put away all my books. Sorry, that's a semi-truck. Anyway, but it's been really nice seeing you again, and I hope you can stop by again soon. You haven't even really gotten the grand tour of my new apartment. That's pretty much it. So, anyway, thanks again. Been missing you a lot, and I'm just glad you could come by for a little bit. Have a great night.